of accelerating national debt growth is likely to continue, and the next doubling of our debt could actually occur in 4 years, which means we could see our $112 movie ticket within the next 5 to 10 years. But that's only if the Chinese are dumb enough to keep lending us their money. Most likely, the Chinese will stop lending us their money and just allow the dollar to collapse.
As they devalue the dollar and the currencies around the world are worth more, they're going to come in here and buy this country up for dimes on the dollar. So all you people out there, you know who the man you're going to be working for? Well, the man's going to be from China. They're going to be from countries with money.
All Americans who ride in taxicabs in major U.S. cities have probably heard dozens of stories from immigrants telling their tales of how they escaped their homeland in order to get to America. In the future, taxicab drivers in Asian countries will be talking about how they escaped America in order to get there. There are now thousands of young Americans who are moving to China for jobs.
You go to school, you get good grades, you work for 30 years, and then you retire. That system is a fraud, it's an illusion, and it hasn't even been tested. It's been one big experiment.
We have an education system here in America where high schools teach students nothing other than the need to get deeply into debt to obtain a college degree that is worthless because everyone else has one.
How about getting out of college and being, what, $30, $40, $50, $60,000 in debt? Look, we know Ivy League graduates at a law school that can't find jobs. You think they're going to be angry?
Our nation's most prestigious Ivy League schools are teaching students delusive economic principles. Look what students at Harvard are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn from their professors.
On healthcare costs, Bob is absolutely right that healthcare spending as a percent of GDP has been rising, and it's largely rising because of technological advance. My own forecast is that will continue, and that should continue. So actually, I'm nervous about prospects to rein in healthcare costs that are too aggressive, because I think that healthcare advances have been a modern form of progress.
Harvard is brainwashing students with absolute nonsense. Healthcare costs are not rising due to technological advances. They are rising due to government involvement.
You look at the areas where government is not involved. I mean, government's not involved in personal computers. They're not involved in cell phones. Yet the prices are falling. If the government was involved, the prices wouldn't be falling. I mean, they can easily rationalize it by saying, well, of course computer prices are going up. Look how much more sophisticated they are. Look how much more powerful they are. How could the prices not go up? They make the same arguments with education or health insurance. Well, they say health insurance, well, it's so much more complicated. We have so much better procedures. If there was no government involved, I'm sure healthcare costs would be falling. Just like other costs are falling in the economy, because the free market is the best mechanism for driving costs down.
If you look at braces, or you look at eye surgery, or you look at breast enhancements, these prices were really high when the technology first came out. But just like other electronics, like plasma TVs or cell phones, this stuff has all contracted. The prices have decreased. Healthcare decreases in prices everywhere the government isn't.
Not only is inflation gravitating towards the area of our economy in which the government is involved in the most, but it is also beginning to gravitate towards the goods that Americans need the most, and there is nothing that Americans need more than food and agricultural products.
I'm big on agricultural commodities. People need to eat. It's not an optional thing. It's not like, you know what, I really want to buy an ounce of gold, but some people can't afford it. But people can say, I really want to eat, but I really can't afford it. People are going to eat. They're going to acquire food. So that's why, with complete assurity, I know, it might sound arrogant, but I know that the prices of basic commodities and food is going to go up, and going to go way up.
Before, if you take $1, you could give your kid $1 and they're able to buy, cookie, a bag of chips, and maybe a fruit punch. That's pretty good for $1. Right now, you could get a fruit punch. And this was only 2 years ago. A fruit punch that we sell at 35 cents is now 69 cents. That's double. That's hyperinflated. And people don't realize it because it's such at a low level. All the basic things, that's candies, foods, the real small 25-cent things, those are all doubled in price already. Why isn't people realizing that? Look at what happened to the price of rice. As a Korean, I don't shop for rice, but a lot of ladies do. They didn't really realize why that bag of rice from $5 went to 19. Brazil said we're not going to take no more dollars for rice. We'd rather eat it on our own because our economy is growing. And from just Brazil stopping their exports to the U.S., bags of rice went from $5 to $15 overnight.
Already, I said I was trying to buy a young coconut. They were $1.19 4 months ago. I went to buy a young coconut. It was $1.69. 40-50% inflation in months. People on the ground all over America are noticing the price of bread and eggs and things going up. So there's inflation in what's important, which is food. So if that's the case, it'd be better to switch those dollars for food right now than not to do so.
We're going to see, seriously, victory gardens popping up all over LA and Southern California. Especially Southern California, because you know what? Next year, it's going to be horrible for foods. I mean, horrible in a sense that it can be so inflated. Because, California this year, the fall harvest was wiped out. There's nothing in California. Where's the avocados? Where's the apples? Where's the pears? There's none.
The inventories of agricultural products are the lowest they've been in decades. Not years, Bernie, but in decades. And we're going to have more problems. There are going to be periods when people cannot get food at any price. And this has not happened in our lifetimes.
Last year, the farmers couldn't get loans for fertilizers. They had to shut down counties and counties and counties because of the water issue. There's colony collapse disorder where there's no bees in California. They've been having to import bees from Arizona, and that's not even covering even 10% of the pollination. So we're going to see a huge food shortage come next year in California. You're going to see hyperinflation big time. Look at cranberries. They used to have Ocean Spray cranberry juice. Read the label. It's not real cranberries anymore. They can't afford real cranberries to make Ocean Spray. Remember, Ocean Spray was famous for using real cranberries. Not anymore.
With food and agriculture prices starting to go through the roof, even working-class Americans are becoming dependent on food stamps.
If you really want to know how this downturn is affecting people, you look at food stamp use. And right now, we're running 43% of people who are on food stamps have a job.
What is going to happen when Americans receive their food stamps, but the shelves at the grocery stores that accept them are empty? What's going to happen when senior citizens receive their Social Security checks, but they aren't worth enough to pay for the gas needed to drive to the bank and cash them?
Civil unrest will happen in this country because of hyperinflation. Now, what's going to happen to the entitlements? These entitlements are exploding in our faces. They're bankrupting Europe. They're bankrupting the United States. So Americans will either be broke, dumb, ignorant, and begging for more entitlements, or Americans will watch documentaries like these and educate themselves. And when this wall finally tears down, when this whole system collapses and explodes into our faces over the coming years and months, Americans have the opportunity to tear down the entitlements, to go back to an ownership and individual society where you work hard, you keep what you make, and you take care of your family. And when you can't take care of yourself, you look to family, not the government.
The National Inflation Association is dedicated to helping Americans prepare for and prosper during hyperinflation. NIA will soon be releasing the world's first ever comprehensive, unbiased review of all of the major online sellers of gold and silver bullion. If you would like to receive this special upcoming report along with NIA's latest articles and updates about hyperinflation and the collapsing US dollar, sign up today for the free NIA newsletter at inflation.us. Also be sure to check out NIA's newest feature on inflation.us called NIA Answers, where you can submit to NIA your questions about inflation and the economy and search through the database of previously answered questions.
Just a year ago, 29 million Americans were on food stamps. Today, it's 36 million Americans. That's just over 1 in 10.
China has already surpassed us in being the largest car buyers in the world.
That's not real recovery. That's borrowing money from the future generations and spending it now and then saying we're in real recovery. So that's insanity.